Hey, welcome. I'm Matt Jackstis, co-founder of High Ticket Client Online, where we show you how to build a high ticket business online, make lots of money, helping people sell by selling expensive things. Today, we're going to give you 5 super powerful tools that you can take into your life and in your business from ancient wisdom, from Stoicism specifically, that are used by probably all of the great business leaders that you and I admire. So let's dig inside their toolbox, see what are they doing to be more effective in business. And these are things that have been around for thousands of years, but most people don't know how to use them. So we're going to show you exactly how to apply it to your life, your business today. Okay, so what is this thing, Stoicism, that everyone's talking about? It's getting super popular now. And one of my majors was philosophy. So I studied the ancient philosophers and a bit about Stoicism. But it wasn't until I really started growing a business that I saw an amazing application for it firsthand. So we're going to talk about what does Stoicism have to do with Bill Gates, Jack Ma, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, who's the number 2 at Berkshire Hathaway, right behind Warren Buffett, Barack Obama, you name it, any business leader, any great person, writer, creator, people that have a lot of money. Hint, if you want a lot of money, this philosophy, when applied, will show you how to do that. We're going to show you how to do that. And when I say philosophy, I want to be really clear. This is not just a sit back in an armchair, stroking your beard sort of thing. Stoicism, according to the creators itself, is meant to be taken into life. It's meant to be practiced. It's meant to be used and tested daily. So when I say philosophy, I very much mean an applied philosophy. Apply, emphasis on application. So we're going to focus on getting results and applying it. Does that sound good to you today? Let's start with the first tactic. This is comes from, some of these things have been adapted over time, but this first tactic comes from the ancient Stoics, Epictetus, Zeno, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca. And this one, I believe, is attributed first to Seneca, and it's journaling very specifically. So you can do this, I recommend, at the end of the day as a way to break down a post-mortem of your day and prepare for the next day. So this is how to spiral upward. If you do this practice, it's going to allow you to, over time, spiral upward, make fewer mistakes, do more things correctly. So it's basically asking yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, what went really well today? What went really well? What was good? What did you win? Where did you perform well, execute well, get a good result that you wanted? What went well? And when I say journal this, don't just think it, write it down, put it in a journal, because guess what? Science has shown that writing things down makes it stick more and it organizes it more than just thinking in your mind. So journal it, actually get a book, computer, write it down. So number 1 question, what went really well? Number 2 question, what needs improvement? What wasn't so hot? What can you work on? Or was just maybe a downright bummer, a failure? Let's be honest about that. What was it? Why was that? And then the number 3 question is, what are you going to do about it tomorrow? Given what worked really well, what needs some improvement, what are you going to do? What's your plan or your adjustment, your iteration for tomorrow? And if you ask those 3 questions every night at the end of your day, before you leave the office, before you go to bed, and answer them honestly, I guarantee you will very quickly start seeing better results in your life and your business, and you'll have clarity and you'll have a plan. You'll start doing more of the things that are working, doing less of the things that aren't, and having a plan, showing up energized every day to do that. So that's number 1 tool. We're going to, boom, first gift to you right there. What are we, under 4 minutes? You already got a cool tool. Do it, try it. Let us know what you think. So the second tool, this one, most people aren't aware of, but it is so powerful, especially if you're like me and you're predisposed to some fears or anxieties. I used to be super anxious in the past. This is super powerful. Ironically, you get to think about fears and anxieties while you're doing it, but it will help you overcome them. And this is called premeditatio malorum, which literally means to premeditate on evils. So it's got a pretty cool name, and I think it sounds like it could be a Harry Potter spell, but it's not. although the effects can quite honestly be pretty magical. So what premeditatio malorum is, it is thinking about all of the potential outcomes, all the ways something could go wrong, and having a plan, asking, what would I do if this thing happened? What would I do if it went wrong in A way or B way or C way? And just thinking about the potential possible ways that something could go wrong, go off course, fail, etc., is where it starts, and having some sort of plan. So you at least can say, I've thought about this, I prepared for almost every eventuality I can think of. In business, this is something that we often kind of have these general vague anxieties, but we don't stop and sit down in an organized way, think about what could specifically go wrong here with this thing, whether it's likely or unlikely, but what could go wrong, possibly go wrong. And if it did, what would I do? Okay, let's say this thing happened. What would my next action be? Boom. You've thought about it. You've acknowledged it. You've thrown it out in the light. It's not just this vague, mysterious concern or anxiety anymore. Like a monster movie, the monster is always scarier when it's in the shadow. And then when you see it, it's usually less scary at that point. We want to shine the light on the monsters here. And then you have a little bit of a plan. I quote Seneca, who came up with this premeditatio malorum, when he said, what is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster. This is a reason for ensuring that nothing ever takes us by surprise. We should project our thoughts ahead of us at every turn and have in mind every possible eventuality instead of only the usual courses of events. Rehearse them in your mind: exile, torture, war, shipwreck. All the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes. So he said, I mean, literally, if you think about it, think about getting exiled, shipwrecked, tortured. What would you do in these situations? Rehearse it. Have a plan in mind. Now, two things are going to happen. Worst case scenario, one of these things could happen, but at least you'll be prepared. At least you won't be caught flat-footed and bummed out saying, oh no, I didn't see this coming. How could this happen to me? Because then you turn the pain into true suffering. But if you do this premeditatio malorum task, you will be prepared. And if and when it happens, at least you'll have a plan. And what is painful won't have to also be unnecessarily suffering causing for you, because you'll be able to take action and just get on with it. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, it won't happen, as it often doesn't. And you might even realize after doing this that, hey, my fears weren't that bad, or, the worst case scenario isn't that bad, or, okay, if the worst case scenario does happen, well, I still have something I can do about it. I'm probably not going to die. Maybe worst case scenario is you do die. Okay, so what? But you're gonna have a plan. You're gonna feel good about that. You're gonna be able to go through your day more confidently. Either way. So premeditatio malorum. Think about, premeditate on all the things that could go wrong ahead of time in your business. This is so powerful. This will build your grit. It will build your endurance. It will build your resilience, and it will just allow you to move through the day more confidently, because you won't be afraid of, what's going to come out of left field and hit me and shake me off. Because you will have thought and planned or prepared, practiced in some way for anything that comes. And oftentimes it won't. And then you'll just get to go through life feeling good, knowing that you were ready anyway. So that's number 2 tool. Boom. Number 3, let's talk about getting better at knowing. The Stoics were huge. One of the fundamental hallmarks of their philosophy was knowing what was in your control and what was not in your control, and being able to know what category something was in, and not fretting about the things that were out of your control, but giving great focus and attention to the things that were within your control. You might think of Reinhold Niebuhr's Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the power to change the things I can, to accept the things that I cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. God, grant me the power, or whatever your higher force you're saying this to, grant me the power to know what's in my control, to know what's not in my control, and change what I can and accept what I can't. Very powerful, hugely potent thing, and it's directly based off of Stoicism. So for business, asking yourself, what things that are out of your control have you been spending your mental energy on? Have you been fretting about or trying to change that, frankly, if you step back and look at it, they're just not that controllable. They're either not at all controllable, they're because there are other people, there are complex systems, et cetera, or they're minimally controllable. And your time and your energy would be better served and have a greater impact on your business if you were to shift and spend that precious commodity of time and energy on the things that are greatly controllable. We talk about lead versus lag metrics. The lag metrics, that's the sales you want to make, the income you want to make. Well, yeah, you can't directly control that, but what you can directly control are the lead metrics, the numbers of new messages you send, the numbers of emails you send, the numbers of events you host, the numbers of offers you make to people. And those lead metrics will feed in and create the lag metrics. So pay attention to the things that are in your control and accept the things that are not in your control. Super big. Where can you use that more in your business? Where maybe you misallocating your attention, your focus on things that are out of your control, and it needs to be refocused on things that are in your control. And ironically, it might start having a bigger impact on some of those things that aren't directly controllable, but can be indirectly controlled if you shift how you're trying to affect them. So fundamental. Number three tool. Actually, I think we're up to 4. Man, I don't know. We're so many amazing tools here, but this stuff works, guys. Trust me, it works. Try it. Don't believe me? Try it. It's called Memento Mori. Memento Mori. And it means, again, it's not just a cool Harry Potter spell, even though it sounds that way. It means remember death. And the Stoics were very big on being real about the finitude, the fleeting, ephemeral nature of life, is that it will end for all of us. The mortality rate of life is 100%. Nobody makes it out alive. So when we remember that and we keep that truth in mind that we will one day die, it could be 80 years from now, it could be 8 minutes from now. You don't have any way of knowing for sure. So remember death. Keep it in your mind daily that you're going to die, and act as if today is your last day. Marcus Aurelius, one of the preeminent leaders in Stoicism, incredible leader, genuinely good-hearted leader, most powerful man in the world at the time, as well as wealthy person. He was the emperor of Rome. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. So what would you do if today was the last day? You know, if you had one more day to run your business, if you had to, you can't go sit on a beach, you have to run your business. But what would you do if today was your last day? How would you want to spend your day if you had to show up in your business like it's the last day you get to run your business? What's going to matter? What are you going to focus on? How are you going to treat people? How are you going to treat yourself? So Memento Mori, again, these are all tools that you can apply to your life and your business. One of the best ways to build yourself as a human being is to build a business, I firmly believe. And when we teach and we coach our clients, honestly, we see them grow as humans as much as we see them grow as profitable business people. So these things don't just stop at the walls of your office. They are wonderful for help in general life situations. So Memento Mori, keep in mind that death is coming. You don't know when, but live your life like today could be the last day. All right, number 4 or 5 here. Seeing the ego as the enemy. Seeing the ego as the enemy. Great book by Ryan Holiday. He's local here to Austin. We hang out at some of the similar spots. Yet to meet him. Hope to. He wrote a book called Ego. The Ego is the Enemy. And this principle of seeing the ego as the enemy is fundamental to Stoicism, and it is so helpful in business. We have here in our business, high ticket client online, we have a saying called the NAY principle, NAY. It's not about you. When you're doing business effectively, NAY, not about you. It's got to be all outward, all serving, all asking, what does my client want? What are they going to respond to? Boom. So the ego is the enemy. And when you see that and you can practice getting yourself out of your own way, everything changes. You're going to serve better. You're going to be more likable. You're going to seem more empathetic to your clients. You're just going to get a better response when you're on sales calls. You're going to be more trustworthy, and you're going to actually have a better time. So you're going to make more money making people feel better, and you're going to feel better yourself. But it starts with getting your ego out of the way, whether it's seeing someone else's success, not getting jealous of it, whether it's not getting overly concerned with your image or when you fall short. Brian Holiday wrote, that we're either on our way up, we're ambitious, we're experiencing success, or we are, in some sort of moment of distress or failure, those three categories. And he said, be humble when you're ambitious. Hey, great. When you're climbing and shooting high, great. Do it, and do it humbly. Be gracious when you're successful. Once you're making it, once you're making the money, the impact, awesome. Enjoy it and be gracious about it. And when you do fall and when you do fail, as we all have and will, be resilient. Be gentle and resilient with yourself. So humble when ambitious, gracious when successful, and resilient when we fail. And realize that there's nothing in business that having a big ego is going to help serve you with. Ego will never help you. There's not one thing that, if you can think of one thing, tell me, but chances are it's not really the ego that's getting the job done. So see the ego as the enemy. Look for ways in your business to cut your ego out, to minimize it, to just say, put it on the side for the time being, so you can clearly see what needs to be done, how serving your ideal client and astonishing them will best show up. You'll show up more authentically, and everyone will have a better time. All right. And finally, this one, I love this one. Huge, tremendous. This is a great one. Our last tool, one of my favorite, it's called flipping the obstacle upside down. Flipping the obstacle upside down. And what this, I'll start with a quote. Marcus Aurelius, again, the philosopher, king, emperor Aurelius, he said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. So the obstacle is the way. The mountain that's standing in front of you is the one you must climb to get where you want. This is basically what it sounds like. Flip the obstacle upside down. When something bad happens to you, an obstacle, a challenge in your business, how can you choose to flip that upside down and say, actually, this is a good thing? I am going to choose to make meaning out of this in a way that I am glad this happened, that this is, yeah, it sucks, true, okay, but we're going to make some positive meaning out of it. We're going to make this maybe even so much meaning out of it that after that, I'll be genuinely happy this happened. What would that look like? What would you have to do to make a setback in your business into a positive thing? Flip the obstacle upside down. Jocko Willink, Navy SEAL podcaster, one of the all-time great podcasters of all time, best-selling author, and a Navy SEAL, not to mention has a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym in my hometown of San Diego. The guy's accomplished. He knows how to succeed in life. He says, good. Anytime something bad happens, when it was at work, life and death stakes, someone got injured, good. More time to rest and, recover. Didn't get the gear they wanted, good. Get to practice being better with the old gear they had. Mission got canceled, good. We get to go, get better before the next mission. Literally, his guys would say to him, hey boss, like, I got this thing happen, but I already know what you're going to say about it. You're going to say good. And it's true. He just was known for whatever happened, especially the tough times, the setbacks, he would say good, and he meant it. Jocko Willink, a known proponent, supporter of Stoicism. So when something happens, when the obstacle presents itself to you, as it will, hopefully, one, you did premeditatio malorum, so you were expecting it and you were prepared, it didn't catch you off guard, and you can give yourself a little high five for that, but also say good. How can you say good? How can you flip the obstacle upside down and take it as a chance to propel forward? If you think about wind blows a candle out, but it makes a forest fire bigger. So are you going to be a candle or a forest fire? Is a little bit of wind, a little bit of, something blowing you off course, is it going to just extinguish your fire, or is it going to make it much bigger? If you throw fuel into something, the fire, let it consume it, let it grow off of that. Don't let it be smothered by it. But that's up to you. That's a choice. And it's just a choice. It's as simple as a choice. All of these things start with a choice, guys. None of this is magic. All of it is fairly simple. When practiced daily, practice, rehearse, do the journaling, 3-point journaling routine we talked about. What went really well, celebrate it. What needs improvement, acknowledge it. And what are you going to do next time? What are you going to do tomorrow? Plan ahead, and then do that, repeat again, and spiral upwards. And I promise you, if you use any of these in your business, especially if you use all of them, you're going to be using the same tools that all the greats, say many of the greats, speak with exactitude here. Many of the greats in business, billionaires, millionaires, innovators are using. Stoic philosophy, powerful stuff. What here did you like that you can take and apply to your business, to your life? There's something for everyone if and when you do it, because I believe you're going to do it. Because if you're watching this, you're probably a smart person. You want to get better and smarter. If and when you do it, tell me how you feel. We'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to go practice this philosophy too, because I'm not here just to think about this. I'm here to grow business, help others grow their business. And that means walking the talk. So super glad you joined us. Tell us what you like the most. Go practice.